Let's continue our team coverage now with News 4's Ted Oberg from the I-Team.
Ted, you've followed school shootings in our region and the impact it can have on kids. This is going to be long-lasting and devastating.
It absolutely will, and I think we heard that most recently from the city councilman, who just a short time ago got a call from his son who said, "I just don't want to go to school tomorrow." Certainly you can understand that. But the studies show that kids have issues feeling safe at school for up to 2 years after an incident like this. And according to excellent reporting from the Washington Post, nearly 400,000 kids in our country go to a school or went to a school that experienced an episode of gun violence since Columbine. 400,000 kids in the last generation. That's a staggering number to think about. And as we look at those long lines of traffic that Joseph is standing amidst, you can only imagine the anxiety those parents feel, the anxiety that I'd feel, bordering on anger. But keep in mind, we're talking about moving 1,800 kids out of an active crime scene and into safety. None of that is done easily. They are inside a school where they were locked down, and the teachers and those students did incredible work to remain calm while the law enforcement folks made sure that the school was safe. The fact that there was one victim that was found easily and that one suspect was detained quickly did not necessarily mean that the threat was immediately over. Law enforcement had to search that massive school. And if you were with us early on when this happened, you saw that Chopper 4 was above that police scene, about 1.5 miles or 2 miles away from the scene, just 30 minutes after the school shooting was reported. A massive collection of law enforcement cars that surrounded an SUV and were, it appeared to us, detaining a young person and making sure they knew who the other people in that car were. And then that's the scene, intentionally blurred until we understand exactly who was involved there to protect anyone who may not be involved. But as the camera on Chopper 4 zooms in, you'll see that law enforcement officer with a young person in handcuffs, patting him down to make sure that there aren't any more weapons on him. And if you look at that gray SUV closer to the snowbank under the power lines in this shot, you'll see that there are some other people who likely had been taken out of that SUV. Police told us about 2 hours after the shooting that a suspect had been quickly detained, and we believe that to be what we saw there. That was very fast. Not exactly certain what the clue was, Duggan, and that led police to follow that car so quickly, whether it was surveillance cameras at the scene inside or outside the school, or a tip, or an eyewitness who was able to see that car speeding out of the parking lot, but thankfully that happened. You know, the second thing that is important to note as we talk about this long wait is keep in mind that even now, this orderly dismissal from Wootton is being done under law enforcement eyes for a couple reasons. One, to make sure the students are safe and orderly, and two, to hopefully make sure that they don't walk past the scene of the shooting where this happened. It is traumatic enough to loop back to where we started this conversation. It is traumatic enough to be in a school that has to be locked down for hours because of a shooting. It is entirely another to walk past the active crime scene and see the remnants of that. Law enforcement will spend likely the balance of tonight going over that evidence, making sure they know exactly who was where, when, and why when this shooting happened, but there's no reason that 1,800 students and all of the teachers inside that school have to walk by it as well.
How far was that apprehension from the school itself about?
Yeah, we believe it to be 1.5 miles or 2 miles from the school, depending on which way they took out of the school, and not certain exactly where that car went in between the time that the shooting was reported and the apprehension, which I believe 25, 30 minutes after the shooting was reported.
And Ted, it's been a little bit more than 5 weeks into this new year.
Yeah.
And from your reporting, as many as 10 or more shootings so far.
So we've clarified that a little bit, talked with the folks who maintain something called the K-12 school shooting database. The fact that there has to be such a thing is statement in and of itself. But according to them, there have been 12 school shootings in this country since January 1st, and we're 6 weeks into the school year. It's the same number of shootings that occurred last year by this time, so there's no decrease. Now, it has been trending down the last 2 years, but The fact that there are 12 in 6 weeks, now 13 counting today's, it says an awful lot about where we are and how normal we consider this. And the fact that we can have conversations about what to expect when kids walk out of the school and how they'll do it and how they'll be reunited with their parents is just a staggering conversation, isn't it?
It is. It's sobering and actually heartbreaking when you think about what we're up against, what these kids are up against every day.
Ted Oberg, it's so great to have your big picture perspective on a story like this. We appreciate it, and we'll be checking back with you shortly.
Thanks, Jim.